Before you pick up another frozen meal from your supermarket freezer, there is something you need to know. These products are marketed as convenient, affordable, and perfectly suitable for older adults. But new nationwide analyses suggest a serious contradiction. Many of the meals trusted most by pensioners contain levels of salt and additives that can quietly undermine heart health, weaken immunity, and interfere with common blood pressure medications. They look safe. They feel familiar. Yet more than half of the options on UK shelves now trigger red sodium warnings, and some of the meals presented as healthier choices contain even more salt than the cheapest budget ranges. For families who rely on frozen dinners because of limited time mobility or income, this hidden risk becomes impossible to ignore. And for older adults whose kidneys, heart, and immune system naturally become more vulnerable with age, these nutritional dangers can have real, measurable consequences. By the end of this report, you will understand which meals carry the highest risk, why certain brands quietly target low-income seniors with the saltiest formulations, and which trusted alternatives can genuinely protect your health. What you're about to see is rarely discussed but urgently important. Frozen meals have become a lifeline for millions of older adults across the UK. They are convenient, affordable, and easy to prepare, especially for those living alone managing health conditions or struggling with mobility. But new research shows that the very products seniors rely on may be putting their health at risk. A national analysis of 511 frozen meals found that 56% now trigger red sodium warnings. This means more than half of the options in the freezer aisle contain salt levels high enough to endanger cardiovascular health, particularly for people over 55 whose kidneys no longer process sodium efficiently. Medical data is clear. Kidney filtration declines steadily from age 30 onward. By the time someone reaches 60, the body may take nearly twice as long to regulate sodium compared to earlier adulthood. This slower processing means sodium accumulates more easily, raising blood pressure and undermining medications commonly prescribed to older adults. ACE inhibitors, ARBs, beta blockers, and diuretics. A ready meal that seems harmless can quietly reduce the effectiveness of a month's worth of treatment. Yet the market is not adjusted to the needs of older consumers. In fact, formulations have moved in the opposite direction. Budget ranges heavily purchased by low-income pensioners consistently contain higher sodium because salt is the cheapest way to mask lower-quality ingredients. At the same time, premium healthy ranges use marketing terms such as balanced, lighter, and better for you, but still deliver sodium levels that trigger amber or red warnings. Compounding this issue is a lack of oversight. Between January 2024 and late 2025, the Food Standards Agency released no targeted monitoring on preservatives in frozen meals. Trading standards carried out no enforcement actions on excessive sodium or misleading health claims. Without regulatory pressure, manufacturers continue to rely on salt additives and vague labeling practices to maintain shelf life and profitability. For older adults on fixed incomes, the consequence is a silent nutritional crisis hiding behind attractive packaging. What appears convenient and reassuring may be contributing to hypertension, weakened immunity, and declining health, one frozen meal at a time. Iceland has long been viewed as a dependable option for older shoppers seeking affordable frozen meal. Many pensioners rely on these products because they are quick and inexpensive and easy to prepare. Yet behind that convenience lies a serious concern. An overwhelming majority of Iceland's frozen meals carry high salt red warnings. This means that most options on the shelves exceed levels considered safe for people managing blood pressure or kidney decline. Salt is routinely used to boost flavor and prolong shelf life because it is the cheapest tool available. For older adults whose kidneys naturally filter sodium more slowly, these levels can lead to higher blood pressure, swelling, and increased strain on the heart. Despite this risk, Iceland avoids clear traffic light labels on many packages, leaving older consumers with less guidance than they need. The danger becomes even clearer when examining an individual product often chosen by seniors: Royal Cottage Pie. It appears familiar, comforting, and traditional, which makes it especially appealing to older adults who prefer simple meals. However, a single 400-gram serving contains more than the NHS recommended daily limit for salt. Eating one portion may exceed the entire day's allowance before breakfast or tea. Researchers have verified this finding repeatedly, yet the product's packaging hides behind serving size suggestions, printed in small text. For a senior managing hypertension or heart disease, one seemingly harmless dinner can undermine an entire day of dietary control, increasing risk of stroke arrhythmia or dangerous fluid retention. The situation is just as troubling in premium ranges marketed as healthier alternatives. Many adults on medication for blood pressure assume that paying more ensures better nutrition. Unfortunately, tests consistently show that premium frozen meals often contain even more sodium than budget ranges. These higher-priced products reduce calories or fat, but rarely reduce salt, the nutrient that matters most for cardiovascular health. Meals costing above $4,050 routinely contain over 2 grams of sodium per serving. Portion size manipulation also makes the nutritional impact appear lower, even though most consumers finish the entire container. As a result, older adults trying to treat themselves with a premium meal may inadvertently consume more sodium than they would in a cheaper product. Beyond salt, the presence of certain preservatives adds another layer of concern, especially TBHQ, known as E319. This synthetic antioxidant is used to stabilize fats in frozen foods. While permitted within limits, research shows that TBHQ suppresses T cells, the immune cells responsible for fighting infections and supporting vaccine response. Older adults already experience a decline in immune strength due to natural aging. When TBHQ is added to that vulnerability, the body's defense system becomes even weaker, increasing the risk of illness and slowing recovery. This preservative typically appears deep within the ingredient list, and few consumers are aware of its implications. Marketing phrases such as "stays fresh longer" obscure the chemical realities behind long shelf life. Another preservative of concern is BHA, or E320. Though approved in the UK, major international health bodies classify it as a possible carcinogen. Studies have shown that BHA creates oxidative stress within cells, a process linked to inflammation and potentially the development of certain cancers. For older adults whose liver function and cellular repair processes have slowed with age, even low levels may contribute to health challenges over time. Yet frozen meal manufacturers continue to include BHA within legal limits, and regulators rarely audit whether companies exceed recommended amounts. Packaging remains simple and reassuring, never highlighting the presence of ingredients that raise legitimate scientific concern. Budget frozen meals present an additional problem, specifically affecting low-income seniors. With 4.2 million older adults cutting back on food due to financial pressure economy, frozen meals often become a primary food source. But these recipes routinely contain more sodium than their standard counterparts because salt compensates for lower quality ingredients. It is an inexpensive way to create flavor without investing in better components. For people living on the state pension or choosing between heating and food, these meals may seem like the only affordable option. Yet the health cost is substantial. High sodium levels raise blood pressure, increase the workload on aging kidneys, and contribute to long-term damage that disproportionately harms older adults. Even ranges marketed as healthier choices fail to offer meaningful protection. Many reduce fat, sugar, or calories, but they maintain sodium at levels that still trigger amber or red warnings. Cambridge University research found that only a tiny fraction of ready meals achieve green ratings across all nutrients, and salt almost always remains the limiting factor. Older adults who believe they are making safe, doctor-approved choices end up consuming meals that still pose cardiovascular risks. Labels such as balanced, lighter, or lean create an impression of safety, yet sodium remains largely unchanged. Portion size manipulation listing 250-gram servings rather than the full factor 400-gram package further disguises true intake. Premium brands marketed as artisanal or chef-inspired also contribute to the problem. Consumers often assume these products are produced with superior ingredients and healthier formulations. Many older adults purchase them as occasional upgrades, believing they are choosing better quality. Yet analysis shows that nearly all premium frozen meals from celebrity-endorsed brands contain high salt levels, some reaching red warnings across 91 to 100% of their products. These companies use sodium to enhance flavor and mimic restaurant-style results. But the consequence is a heavy salt load that places older consumers at increased risk of cardiovascular stress. Attractive packaging, celebrity photos, and upscale descriptions distract from the underlying nutritional reality. In each of these categories, the pattern is the same. Sodium levels remain excessively high. Preservatives with known health concerns are still legally used, and marketing techniques minimize the visibility of these risks. For older adults, many of whom rely on frozen meals due to mobility issues, reduced appetite, or limited income, the gap between perception and reality is especially dangerous. Seniors often trust labels, rely on brand familiarity, and assume that higher-priced products offer better protection. But the evidence shows that convenience, affordability, and premium branding all come with nutritional compromises that can meaningfully impact health. The recurring theme is not simply one brand or one meal. It is a systemic reliance on salt, preservatives, and vague nutrition claims that disproportionately harm older consumers. These products may fit a busy routine or limited budget, but they also deliver sodium levels that strain the heart, additives that weaken immunity, and marketing messages that obscure the truth. With so many older adults depending on frozen meals as daily nutrition rather than occasional options, the health implications extend far beyond the freezer aisle. One finding in this investigation stands above all the others, not because it is the most obvious, but because it reveals how deeply the problem runs across the industry. Among the most shocking results is the discovery that certain premium frozen meal brands, those trusted because of celebrity names, artisan packaging, and higher prices, have some of the highest salt levels across the entire UK market. In fact, several well-known ranges show red sodium warnings on nearly every product they sell. The contradiction is striking. These brands market themselves as healthier, more natural, and more carefully crafted than standard supermarket meals. Their labels highlight quality ingredients, chef-inspired recipes, and responsible sourcing. Many older adults buy them specifically because they believe a recognized name ensures safety. Yet testing shows that some of these ranges contain excessive sodium in 91 to 100% of their meals, meaning every single purchase may place additional strain on the heart, kidneys, and blood vessels of older consumers. This pattern is made worse by the lack of regulatory oversight. Over the past 2 years, neither the Food Standards Agency nor Trading Standards conducted targeted enforcement on high-sodium frozen meals or misleading health claims. Meanwhile, manufacturers quietly adjust portion sizes on the label to avoid red warnings, even though most consumers eat the entire package. The result is a nutritional picture that appears safer on paper than it is in real life. What emerges from these findings is not a simple case of one bad brand, but a systemic failure in which marketing, pricing, and regulatory silence allow high-risk meals to appear trustworthy, especially to older adults who rely on them the most. For older adults and families trying to make safer choices, the most effective protection comes from understanding labels and recognizing the patterns manufacturers rely on. The first step is to focus on sodium content per 100 grams rather than per portion. Many frozen meals list smaller serving sizes to avoid red warnings, even though most people consume the entire tray. A safer guideline is simple: meals containing more than 1.5 grams of salt per 100 grams should be limited or avoided, especially for those managing hypertension, kidney decline, or heart conditions. Ingredient lists also matter. Preservatives such as TBHQ E319 and BHA E320 should be treated with caution. If these appear on the label, it is a sign that the product relies on chemical stability rather than natural ingredients. Seniors who are already more vulnerable to infections or inflammation may benefit from choosing products without these additives. Several brands provide safer options. Cook by Ruby Hay, Presto, and Wiltshire Farm. Foods offer meals with controlled sodium levels, fewer additives, and clearer nutrition labeling. Prices may be higher than standard supermarket meals, but the health benefits, particularly for older adults, can outweigh the cost. Wiltshire Farm Foods, designed specifically for seniors, provides portion sizes appropriate for smaller appetites and includes ranges for people with swallowing difficulties. For those able to cook occasionally, batch cooking is the most affordable and healthiest option. Frozen vegetables, plain fish fillets, and basic grains can create balanced meals with full control over sodium. Preparing 10 to 15 portions once a month reduces reliance on ready meals and helps maintain consistent nutrition. Finally, shoppers should avoid products without traffic light labels and be cautious of terms like balanced, smart, or better for you. These phrases often highlight calorie reduction while hiding sodium levels that remain dangerously high. This investigation reveals a silent problem inside the UK's freezer aisles. Many frozen meals, whether budget premium or marketed as healthy, carry sodium levels and additives that place older adults at elevated risk. What seems convenient can quietly undermine blood pressure control, weaken immunity, and strain organs that naturally become more vulnerable with age. These issues persist, not because consumers make poor choices, but because the marketplace presents misleading labels, inconsistent oversight, and pricing that rewards unhealthy formulations. Understanding these patterns allows families to protect themselves, choose more responsibly, and reduce the long-term health impact of everyday meals. Awareness is the first step toward safeguarding the well-being of older people who rely most on these convenient foods. Before you leave, I would like to hear from you. Which part of this investigation surprised you the most, and have you ever found a frozen meal that seemed healthy but later turned out to be high in salt? Your experiences can help other families stay informed. If you want more clear evidence-based reports designed to protect your health and guide safer choices, consider subscribing so you never miss a new investigation. Thank you for taking the time to understand this issue. Your health and the well-being of those you care about remains at the center of every report we produce.